Hello everyone, I am Samta Arya, PGT Biology from KV number 1, Pathankot. So here I am taking chapter number 19 of class 11th Biology, that is excretory products and their elimination. The human body is constantly at work, it is neither completely at rest. For example, even when we are sleeping, our lungs are exhaling carbon dioxide. So, carbon dioxide is a waste product. Like carbon dioxide, various other waste products are produced, like ammonia, urea, uric acid, water, and excess ions like phosphate, sulfate, sodium, potassium, chloride ions, and these are produced in different metabolic activities from our body. So these wastes, if retained in our body, may prove fatal and must be removed totally or partially from the body. So, the process by which waste products of metabolism and other non useful materials are eliminated from an organism is called excretion. Or we can say that excretion is defined as the elimination of metabolic waste. So, the various waste products are ammonia, urea, uric acid, water, and excess ions. There are three types of excretion. So we have ammonotalism, ureotalism, uricotalism. So ammonia, urea, and uric acid are the major forms of nitrogenous waste. Nitrogenous waste are produced by the metabolism of mainly proteins and to some extent nucleic acids. Depending on the availability of water, animals excrete the nitrogenous waste in various forms, like ammonia, urea, or uric acid. So, we have three phenomena: ammonotalism, ureotalism, and uricotalism. Now, what is ammonotalism? Ammonotalism is the excretion of nitrogenous waste in the form of ammonia, and the animals which excrete ammonia are ammoniotalic animals. Ammonia is readily soluble in water and generally excreted by diffusion across body surfaces or through gill surfaces as ammonium ions. Kidneys do not play any significant role in elimination of ammonia. So we have examples like bony fishes, aquatic amphibians, aquatic insects. These are all ammoniotelic animals. Second, we have ureotalism. The excretion of nitrogenous waste in the form of urea is termed as ureotalism. And the animals which excrete urea are called ureotelic animals. Ammonia produced by metabolism is converted into urea in the liver of these animals and released into the blood, which is filtered and excreted out by the kidneys. Some amount of urea may be retained in the kidney matrix to maintain desired osmolarity. Urea is 1 lakh times less toxic than ammonia. It needs sufficient volume of water for its elimination. Urea can be concentrated in the blood or urine. Examples are mammals, many terrestrial amphibians, and marine fishes. Third, we have uricotalism. The excretion of nitrogenous waste in the form of uric acid is termed as uricotalism, and the animals which excrete uric acid are called uricotalic animals. Animals which live in dry conditions have to conserve water, therefore they convert ammonia into uric acid. The uric acid is least toxic and is excreted in the form of pellet or paste with a minimum loss of water. Examples are reptiles, birds, land snails, and insects. Now, next is excretory organs. Excretory organs are simple tubular structures in invertebrates and complex tubular structures called kidneys in vertebrates. So, different organisms have different excretory organs. Now, we have the examples like plasma lemma in protozoans like amoeba. Then excretion takes place through general body surface in Porifera and Coelenterata. There are flame cells in Platyhelminthes. There are nephridia in Annelida, Malpighian tubules in arthropods, coxal gland in spiders. Kidney is the main excretory organ in all vertebrates. Antenna glands or green glands are found in crustaceans. Now, different phylums have different excretory organs. Like first, phylum Protozoa, there is contractile vacuole for excretion, and ammonia is the nitrogenous waste. Function, ammonotelic. Examples are amoeba, paramecium. Second, we have porifera. The excretion takes place through general body surface. They are ammonotelic. Examples are cycon, leucon. Third is Coelenterata. Nitrogenous waste is ammonia. Excretion takes place through general surface of body. These are ammonotelic. Example is Hydra. Next we have Platyhelminthes. In this there are flame cells for excretion. They form the protonephridial system. They are ammonotelic. Examples are Tinea and Fasciola hepatica. Next is Nematoda. There are H-shaped excretory organs. Rennet cells are there. They are ammonotelic. Example is Ascaris. Next is Annelida. So in Annelida, there are nephridial system and they are ammonotelic. Then example is Pharetima. Next, phylum Arthropoda. So in this we have different classes like class Insecta, class Crustacea, class Arachnida. In class Insecta, there are Malpighian tubules for excretion. In class Crustacea, there are antennary or green glands. In Arachnida, there are coxal glands, Malpighian tubules, hepatopancreas, nephrocytes. These are all uricotelic. Examples are Periplaneta, spider. Next phylum is Mollusca. So in Mollusca, there are renal organs or Kieber's organ, and there are in the terrestrial forms there is excretion of uric acid. So these animals may be ammonotelic or uricotelic. Examples are Pila and Limex. The next phylum is Echinodermata. Now in Echinodermata, there are primitive gills or tube feet. The excretion may take place from body surface. These are ammonotelic and examples are Cucumaria. Now next we have excretory system. So in excretory system, here you are seeing the excretory system of human, or we can say that this is the human excretory system consisting of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder and a urethra. So the kidneys are located in the abdominal cavity, one on either side of the vertebral column at the level between 12th thoracic vertebra and 2nd or 3rd lumbar vertebra, and are attached to the dorsal inner wall of the abdominal cavity. Now each kidney is bean shaped, reddish brown and measures about 10 to 12 centimeter in length, then 5 to 7 centimeter in width, 2 to 3 centimeter in thickness, and it weighs about 150 gram in an adult male and about 135 gram in adult female. Now next, ureters. From the hilum of each kidney emerges a whitish tube, the ureter. The ureters are about 28 centimeter long. Their wall consists of transitional epithelium surrounded by a layer of muscle fibers. Opening of the two ureters in the bladder are separate but closely placed. Next is urinary bladder and urethra. The urinary bladder is pear-shaped, which is made up of smooth and involuntary muscles. The muscles are also known as detrusor muscles or the muscles that has the action of expelling a substance. The lower part or neck of the bladder leads into the urethra. So here is the structure of the kidney. Each kidney is bean-shaped, reddish brown and measures 10 to 12 centimeter in length, 5 to 7 centimeter in width, 2 to 3 centimeter in thickness with an average weight of 120 to 170 gram. Each kidney has a notch or concavity called hilum through which renal artery and nerves enter and the renal vein and ureter leave the kidney. Inner to the hilum is a broad funnel-shaped space called the renal pelvis with projections called calyces. So here is the NCRT diagram of LS of kidney showing the various part of the kidneys, that is the cortical part, the medullary part, medullary pyramids are seen over here, renal column is there, then renal capsule is there, renal artery is there, renal vein is there, renal pelvis is there. So here the structure of the kidneys. Kidneys are reddish bean-shaped organs that helps in removal of waste from the body. There are three layers that surrounds the kidney: outermost renal fascia, middle adipose capsule and innermost renal capsule. The frontal section of the kidney consists of outer cortex and inner medulla. The medulla contains cone-shaped structures known as renal pyramid. The arteries that supply blood to the kidneys are right and left renal arteries. Now next is nephron. So what are nephrons? Nephrons are the structural and functional unit of the kidneys. Now each nephron consists of two parts: renal corpuscles and renal tubule. The renal corpuscles comprises of glomerulus and Bowens capsule. Glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries enclosed in Bowens capsule. Blood plasma is filtered in glomerular capsule and then the filtered fluid passes into the renal tubule. Now this is the structure of nephron showing the various parts. You are seeing here a cup-shaped structure which is called as the Bowens capsule. Then glomerulus, that is the tuft of capillaries, are shown in the Bowens capsule. Then PCT part, proximal convoluted part, is shown over here. Then descending limb of loop of Hanel is there. Then ascending limb of loop of Hanel is there. Loop of Hanel is also shown here. Then distal convoluted tubule part is shown here. Then collecting duct is also shown over here. So the tubule continues with the PCT, Hanel's loop and DCT, that is distal convoluted tubule. Hanel's loop is hairpin shaped structure and it has descending and ascending limbs. Now this is the NCRT diagram of structure of nephron. So a nephron has two parts, namely glomerulus and renal tubule. So first is glomerulus. Glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries formed by the efferent arteriole, which is a finer branch of the renal artery. Blood from the glomerulus is carried away by the efferent arteriole. The efferent arteriole forms a fine capillary network called peritubular capillaries around the renal tubule. A minute vessel of this network, which is U-shaped and runs parallel to the Hanel's loop, is called vasa recta. Second is renal tubule. Mammalian renal tubule has the following parts. First is PCT. Second is loop of Hanel. Third is distal convoluted tubule. So first, PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. The renal tubule is closed at the proximal end. Here it is expanded and curved inwardly to form a double-walled cup-shaped structure called Bowen's capsule, which encloses the glomerulus. The Bowen's capsule along with the glomerulus is known as Malpighian corpuscle or renal corpuscle. The lumen of the capsule is continuous with the narrow lumen of the entire tubule. The tubule continues to form a highly convoluted proximal convoluted tubule. Brush-bordered cuboidal epithelium cells line the lumen of PCT. Second is loop of Hanel. It arises from the end of the proximal convoluted tubule and ends at the starting of the distal tubule. It is a hairpin-like loop with a descending limb and an ascending limb that courses back to the cortex. Third is DCT, distal convoluted tubule. The ascending limb on entering the cortex becomes a highly coiled distal convoluted tubule. It then continues as a short, straight collecting tubule that joins the collecting duct. Each collecting duct receives the collecting tubule of a number of nephrons. Many collecting ducts converge, run through renal pyramids, and open into the renal pelvis through the opening called renal papillae at the tip of renal pyramids. So there are two types of nephrons, juxtamedullary nephrons and cortical nephrons. Then vasa recta. The efferent arteriole forms a fine capillary network around the renal tubule called the peritubular capillaries. A minute vessel of this network, which is U-shaped and runs parallel to the Hanel's loop, is called vasa recta. Now this is Malpighian body, or we call it as renal corpuscle. So it consists of afferent arteriole, a cup-shaped structure, Bowen's capsule is there, and tuft of capillaries are there. So this is the Malpighian body, or we call it as the renal corpuscles. Now DCT and tubular secretion. So DCT, distal convoluted tubule, it reabsorbs water, sodium ions, chloride ions and calcium ions. Tubular secretions help in removal of those substances from the body which are not required by the body. Example, urea, creatinine and some drugs. So now we have two types of nephrons. So we have cortical and juxtamedullary nephrons. So what are cortical nephrons and what are juxtamedullary nephrons? Now, based on location, we have two types of nephrons here. We have cortical nephrons, we have juxtamedullary nephrons. Now, what are cortical nephrons? So in cortical nephron, the loop of Hanel is too short and extends only very little into medulla. Majority of the nephrons are cortical type. In juxtamedullary nephrons, the loop of Hanel is very long and run deep into the medulla. So, what are the point of differences between cortical and juxtamedullary nephron? So, 80% of the total nephrons are cortical nephrons and 20% of total nephrons are juxtamedullary nephrons. Cortical nephrons are small in size, juxtamedullary nephrons are large in size. Cortical nephrons lie mainly in the renal cortex. Juxtamedullary nephrons have Bowen's capsule in the cortex near its junction with the medulla. Hanel's loops are very short and extend only a little into the medulla in cortical nephrons. Hanel's loops are very long and extend deep into the medulla in juxtamedullary nephron. Cortical nephrons control plasma volume when water supply is normal. Juxtamedullary nephron control plasma volume when water supply is short.